the seventh house. Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then peace will come to the planet, and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, Aquarius. Seventh house, Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then peace will come to the planet, and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, Aquarius.
Hello, welcome to the Wellspring Valley Gallery and Studio, Home and Gardens, Bob and Christine. Let us also welcome in the dawn of the Aquarian age. You know, it might not look like much yet, but we have only just begun. Although, if we desire it for it to be full of love and harmony, we do have a lot of work to do, maybe even relearn how to play. So let us get right to it. I am Christine Louise, and this is a film about time and space and speed, and a bit about how we mark time. Why talk about time? Well, I believe it is important for the evolution of our consciousness. It's all very strange. And, you know, often fact is stranger than fiction. Some of these facts might even blow our minds, which also might help us come more into our senses, and I'll tell you more about that a little later. Many concepts and images will be presented, and I invite you to let them flow as they will, and see and feel what they invoke in you. As we travel together, we will also dive into the energetics of the new year upon us in 2026, and how we might ride the energies of the young fire horse to navigate these turbulent times we are in and help us manifest our dreams this year. Will you please like and subscribe to this channel? I will make more videos to help us process and navigate these uncertain times if I know you are engaging. Your support is everything. You know, we're in this together. Thank you for being here. So, times, timing, timelines. Let us talk about this strange thing we call time. We can't see it, hear it, or touch it. We can't weigh it or measure it in the laboratory. It is a subjective experience of becoming what we are rather than what we were from one nanosecond to the next. Often we are on a Ferris wheel of time, caught in a loop of habit rather than becoming more of who we truly are. So, you know, time is so strange. It certainly does strange things to us as we age. We become almost a caricature of ourselves. And I suppose, time exaggerates the imprint of our experience onto our bodies and faces. It's fascinating and horrible and beautiful all at once. So, I just had cataract surgery on my right eye with a new lens for distance, but I still need my glasses to see the screen and these words. But I am extremely excited to see colors so vivid again and to share with you all some fascinating information that I'm recording this anyway. Mostly I'll be audio only, but I wanted to say hi to begin. Soon you will get to enjoy the scenery without my talking head alongside. Some folks call me Sister Nature, and that's a lot of what I want to show you to keep us from getting too caught up in our heads. But, it feels important to risk looking like a fool for love and a vision. And I suppose how we age is also a way we mark time passing. Although it is also relative, some kind of standard was needed to order time and make better use of the seasons, so we have come up with different ways to mark time. The global standard for marking time is the Gregorian calendar. It was introduced by Pope Gregory in 1582 to correct the 11-minute per year error in the previous Julian calendar. And now we will go to audio only. The global standard for marking time is the Gregorian calendar. It was introduced by Pope Gregory in 1582 to correct the 11-minute per year error in the Julian calendar. It is based on a solar cycle, a masculine, yang, linear style. It tracks the Earth's orbit around the sun. This orbit isn't perfect. The Earth is tilted and it wobbles and moves north and south, so it varies. That's why we have a leap year on the 5th consecutive year to make up the difference. Then there is a lunar calendar that follows the moon's phases, a more feminine yin cycle of 13 months to a year. But this, too, isn't exact, and holidays do not fall on the same date every year, which is confusing. The Church calculates Easter as the first Sunday after the first full moon on or after the vernal equinox, which always has a fixed date of March 21st, according to the Gregorian calendar. Now, Orthodox Catholics still use the Julian calendar for Easter, and often the dates are different. Are you even more confused? Well, the most accurate calendar was developed by the Persians and combined the lunar and solar cycles. The Jewish, Chinese, and Islamic calendars followed this lunar-solar hybrid, calculating both rhythms. Although those calculations can get quite complicated. Now, the Mayans have multiple calendars depending on the focus. Most of them are also based on 13. There was a proposal for an international fixed calendar of 13 shorter months of 28 days with one extra day a year, but it was decided it would have been too disruptive, despite its mathematical tidiness. Now, speaking of tidy, let us touch on the clock for just a moment. Yeah, pun intended. The clock has a set time of noon, where noon is not really an accurate reflection of the time, which varies considerably depending on the time of year and where we are on the Earth. A sundial may actually be more accurate. This graph shows the deviation of true noon over a year. Some acupuncture schools teach how to figure out real time according to our longitude to use special Harari points more accurately. Using these points during the time the energy moves through the meridian in the circadian rhythm gives them an extra boost. We can also use these points to prevent jet lag when crossing time zones. The railroads in America were the first to install time zones in the late 1800s
to manage travel schedules. It is also far simpler to have a fixed clock time for controlling the workday and those of us laboring by the hour. The calendar Jesus would have followed, as do I, was a hybrid calendar. I love it because it gives us a chance to celebrate the new year 3 times. The solar 1st of January, the lunar when the energy starts to rise again and the days grow longer, and then 6 weeks later with the spring equinox. In the northern hemisphere, this is when we can see life returning to the earth and bulbs push up shiny stalks, heralding a new year of growth. The Balinese New Year falls on the new moon just before the vernal equinox, which, as I said, is a fixed date. It can vary between the 20th and the 21st, but always then. And the New Year for the Balinese falls on March 17th this year. The Balinese build effigies of demonic entities that are paraded on New Year's Eve, and they burn them then that evening to clear harmful attachments. Many offerings take place in the days before. The actual New Year's Day, called Nipi, is a day when all activity ceases. No electricity, except hospitals for life support. No cooking, no internet, and everyone stays indoors so that any harmful energies passing by the island find nothing to attach to. I found it incredibly powerful when I was there in 2018. Sure wish we could do it globally. Now, with each lunar cycle, we also have a rhythm, beginning with the new moon, setting intentions for the month, growing and manifesting those ideas, bringing them to fruition at the full moon, and then consolidating our gains and letting go for the new cycle to begin anew. In our Lunar Woman class, we learn how to draw down the energy through specific parts of our bodies over the month to manifest those intentions. Most of us have no clue that for a woman, the energy shifts every 2.5 days as it moves from our head down to our bottom and back up the spine to start a new cycle. And so we are literally perceiving the world through a different energetic focus in our bodies throughout the month. This is why it appears women change their minds so often. It certainly helps to know the process for managing these different perceptions and making the best use of the qualities inherent within each. This sacred knowledge has been held in secret mystery schools until recently. We are very blessed to know about it. Men have a longer solar cycle, by the way. Now, the 5 elements or great forces of nature also have a cyclic flow through a day, a year, a lifetime. We move from the DNA of possibility held within the seed or egg to the sprout and growth of youth, to the flower of our potential, harvesting the fruits of our labor, letting go of the dregs, and consolidating the energy once more for a new cycle to begin. Water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. The finite manifestation of life, all arising from the infinite density of the vacuum or void, often called the ether, or the womb of no thing and everything, because it is full of possibilities from which we draw to create form. Every nanosecond we pulse into life and go back out again on a molecular level. What are we taking in and sending out? What are we creating in these cycles and spirals of space-time? How can we come to know our place in the cosmos? Where are we individually and collectively on this most noble journey? There is a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. How would we react if the supply chain became more strained and the conveniences we take for granted are just not there? Could we simplify our lives? Will we be forced to? Are we able to tend our inner fire in the wake of the global superorganism that is driving our lives? Will my life's work of connecting with nature both within and without prepare me for the coming years? I believe there is room for hope, but oh, where does the time go? I am not even a sexagenarian anymore. I turned 70 in 2024. I was born in the year of the wood horse. I am turning 72 now, and we are back to another horse year. I do miss my 60s. I really liked being a sexagenarian. It's just such a sexy word. To be clear, it was more fun to be in my late 40s, early 50s, as you can see from these photos. But time waits for no one. I am slowing down a bit now, although my slower pace is still faster than many in their 20s. And time really does seem to move faster as we age. It does blow my mind that I am now in my 70s. I am truly amazed that I have traveled so many times around the sun. I have also traveled many miles on Earth, but it is nothing compared to how fast we are moving through the cosmos and how far we travel every day. We are flying around the sun at around 1,000 miles an hour at the equator and around 800 miles an hour at my 40-degree latitude. 1 year is a complete cycle around the sun. The sun is hurtling through our spiral galaxy at around 493,000 miles an hour, circling the black hole in the center of our galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy, and the whole thing is moving towards the Andromeda galaxy, drawn by the Great Attractor, which is still a mystery for scientists. Our spinning Earth and solar system look like a corkscrew over time, and in just 1 year, each of us is traveling without ever leaving home 584 million miles. That is 1.6 million miles a day, or 137 miles a second. If we wanted to travel back in time just 1 second, we would have to account for the change in space of 137 miles. No wonder time travel is so tricky. We also know now that speed affects the passage of time. As an object moves faster, closer to the speed of light, which is a constant at 186,282 miles a second, time passes more slowly. This has been measured in fast-moving planes and GPS satellites and even mountaintops. The Large Hadron Collider at CERN accelerates protons to 99.99991% the speed of light, and that would be like 14 round trips between New York and Beijing in 1 second. 14 round trips in a second. At that speed, just as Einstein predicted, the mass of a proton is 7,245 times greater than if it were at rest. And time slows at exactly the same factor, which means 1 second to that proton is like 2 hours to us. Now I imagine the God speed of light is the ultimate 0 point of all time gathered, Whatever that might actually be, I can't say, but Einstein's theory that it is all happening at once, every possibility and probability, every choice ever made or will be made, existing at some level of perception, is probably true. Everything, everywhere, all the time, all at once. According to Nassim Haramein, after calculating how long a single bit of information travels through every proton in the observable universe, he discovered that it is the same speed that takes a proton to complete one rotation. That is not a coincidence, he says, and it strongly suggests protons are like a clock, ticking in sync, refreshing the entire information structure of reality at every turn. In other words, every time a proton spins, the universe updates itself. And neuroscientist William Brown from the International Space Federation outlines a testable biophysics framework for communication resonance between these light photons and vibration, which are called phonons, and biomolecules, which are called excitotrons or excitotons. The central idea is that there is a constant back and forth between these three modes to synchronize activity across space and time, inside the cell, and possibly across the tissue. It is a symphony of life. This will have great importance in the coming years, where light and sound and color will be the medicine of the future. What may be even more intriguing is that the average nerve impulse has been measured, and it is around 100 miles per hour. What is strange is that the sensory input from our body is 1,000,000 times faster than a conscious thought. This is because it takes time to process the information from our senses. I wonder if a brake has been put on our thoughts, or even our senses. Perhaps the Kunda buffer that G.I. Gurdjieff speaks about. Food for thought. You might want to check it out. Great athletes have a way of tapping into this faster body consciousness to perform incredible feats, and there are reports of time slowing down during intense moments of physical duress. What are we really capable of? Are our minds more like receivers than transmitters, gathering information from various sources? Is our intelligence as much in our bodies as in our brains? According to G.I. Gurdjieff's Fourth Way teachings, as documented by P.D. Ouspensky, the human body, operating through the instinctive and moving centers, functions at a vastly faster speed than the conscious intellectual brain. This difference in speed explains why the body often reacts instantly to danger or stimulus before the conscious mind has time to process what is happening. According to Gurdjieff, the different centers operate at relative speeds. The instinctive and moving centers are roughly 30,000 times faster than the intellectual center. The emotional center is cited as being 30,000 times faster than the moving instinctive centers, making it 900 million times faster than the intellect. Try to get your head around that. Think about it this way. The disparity means that the moving instinctive center has 30,000 times longer time for its work than the intellectual center does. The intellect is described as very slow, often unable to follow the rapid actions of the body, and even less able for the emotional experience, What does this imply about awareness? Because the body operates so quickly and automatically, well, it often acts without conscious direction. Gurdjieff argued that the most human actions are involuntary and mechanical reactions. Often we are simply looking for the next dopamine fix. We are in a secondary reactive emotion, predominantly. Gurdjieff developed specific complex physical exercise known as the movements or sacred dances to bring the body, emotions, and mind into alignment, forcing the slower intellectual center to try to keep up with the faster moving center. Many other traditions have a similar tradition. We do a moving meditation and then move inside with a sitting meditation. This combination quiets the monkey mind's chatter and opens us to a wider field of experience. This is why movement awareness classes like we have here at the Wellspring Valley are key to elevate our minds. Perhaps you will join us this year. So, where does this information lead us? Well, here we are, most of us unaware that we're even operating in different time systems within our own bodies, yet alone a whole cosmos moving at different relative speeds and operating at different time perspectives. No wonder we think we are alone in the cosmos. It would be pretty hard to connect with other intelligences operating at such different relative times. Let's go back to our relative passage through space. I'll use my lifespan to demonstrate. If I multiply my age, almost 72, by 584 million, I get 42,048 million with 6 more zeros, or 4 times 10 to the 10th power. That's 40 billion miles. Now, 1 light year is equal to 93 million miles, so we are talking light years in one lifetime. It's something like 430 astronomical units, or light years, for me now, if I've done the math right. Now, that's one hell of a long way from when and where I was born. My journey would look something like this slide. What an incredible ticket to ride on Spaceship Earth. I don't know about you, but knowing that makes me appreciate the unique moment of space-time I am passing through right now, and the influences of the heavenly bodies our planet is interacting with as we journey through the cosmos. Knowing some of the cosmic influences and interactions with our planet through symbols, astronomy, astrology, and mythology, we can expand our consciousness as we become more aware of the interconnectedness and interdependent nature of our being. There are different models of the zodiac that describe the heavens, but they're more alike than different. There are 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac. The 5 elements apply to 2 consecutive years in this system, with each element having a yin and a yang year. The 5 elements repeat their sequence every 10 years. And because they pair with the 12 animals, it takes 60 years for one complete cycle for the same element and animal to recur. So let's dive into the specifics of our placement in the cosmos for 2026. We entered the year of the Yang Fire Horse on February 17th. The fire is considered more yang than other elements, meaning it is more active and transformative by its very nature. The horse is about strength and swiftness, perseverance and freedom. Couple that with fire and it's bound to be a year of rapid change, rebellion, and passion. It will be intense and fast-paced, with the kind of transformative energy that could bring social and technological changes. We will need to buckle up for this potentially wild ride and stay grounded. Practice self-care to manage and regulate our nervous system. We will need to direct the fire through focused action to prevent burnout, and use the alchemical nature of fire to transmute limiting, harmful, unnecessary, and inappropriate energies into their most loving actions and virtues. If we are to come through these changing times safely, with the greatest of ease and grace. The last fire horse year was 1966. Revolutionary ideas that had been brewing since the 50s gained momentum. The Vietnam War escalated. Protests and sit-ins were growing, along with the death toll. Martin Luther King Jr. opened the Chicago campaign for fair housing. Race riots grew in strength and occurrence. America had its first mass shooting. The Cultural Revolution began in China. The USSR landed on the moon, and the U.S. launched Lunar Orbiter 1. The first liver transplant on a chimpanzee took place, and the first miniature TVs were introduced. The Miranda rights became law when the Supreme Court ruled that criminal suspects must be read their rights before interrogation. I was 12 that year, and my favorite show starred James Darren, who was trapped in time in the limited series The Time Tunnel. Oh, let us hope we are not trapped in time and doomed to repeat history. One can only hope that we have evolved. If the alignment of stars and planets affecting us this year is any indication, perhaps we just might. Some are calling it an epochal reset. For the first time in over a millennium, Neptune and Saturn meet at 0 degrees Aries on February 20th. Aries is the beginning of the zodiac, and this rare conjunction encourages us to bring our highest dreams into reality and set the foundation for new structures. Some astrologers are calling this conjunction the 0 point. This is a huge moment, full of possibilities. Saturn is considered serious, disciplined, and about karmic lessons that are finally getting resolved and ending at this reset point we're in. Neptune is about intuition, sensitivity, sensuality, beauty, and the arts. This conjunction is encouraging us to take our inner life seriously and also to have a disciplined approach to the work. It encourages us to not make decisions based on fear from external pressures, but allow them to come from the inside. And our connection to nature, which always has a natural quality of courage and love, and radiate that energy out. The first day of the Lunar New Year on the 17th also coincided with a solar eclipse in Aquarius, highlighting tension between the collective good and individual pride. The uncertainty of it all is leading to fear, and fear always leads to selfishness. But with Venus entering Pisces, the goddess of love is exalted, allowing it to function at its most selfless, empathetic, compassionate, and spiritual. Transits in Venus usually involve shifts in what we value and in how we express love. We may find ourselves breaking free from how we relate to self-worth, pleasure, which we might call eros, and even money. We are hardwired with two imperatives: preservation of the species and of the self. Perhaps we will find a better way to balance them with some new software updates. We might not be able to change how survival of self and species is hardwired into our operating system, but we can change the software. Much of our software is outdated and based on erroneous beliefs, if not downright untruths. For example, many of us still believe that the vacuum or void is empty, and yet we now know that it is full of oscillating and vibrating patterns of possibility, of infinite potential, infinite density. We know that the vacuum has far more energy by orders of magnitude than the realm of form. We draw from this realm of the unmanifest possibilities and probabilities to create form. Every nanosecond, we bring information from the unbounded infinite density of the vacuum into the bounded finite realm to form our reality, and it goes back out again. What are we drawing in? What are we sending out? How do we learn to co-create our reality from this realm of potential? The journey begins with the first step, and that is to become aware that we pulse into form every nanosecond and go back out again. And remember that space defines us as we define space. Space-time doesn't just curve, it twists and spirals. This torque is embedded in all life. Everything spins from the vibrating vacuum of space into matter. And this is the basis for the search for the 0 point and a way to tap into free energy. Everything spins and torques because the same force that holds everything together also drives it apart, absorbing information and radiating energy out, hopefully in a coherent manner. What are we radiating? Are we consciously devoting our energies and projects back to the source that gives us life in some kind of reciprocal maintenance? Or are we simply consuming mindlessly? Does fear rule our selfish actions? How do we resist the self-terrorizing fear that often grips our psyche? The first step is to remember our connection to the realm of infinite potential. And the second step is to realize our interdependence with everything manifest on our planet and in our universe. And the third step is realizing that this great diversity of life is how the cosmos celebrates itself. It is time we move beyond the focus of survival of the fittest into Darwin's other description of nature, that of cooperation, so that all of life may thrive, and remember how to experience life as a celebration. The fourth step is to become a conscious co-creator in the co-arising interdependent system we live in. To recognize the cosmic imbalances affecting our nature as well, and to purify what belongs here on earth. To use sacred space to clear what does not belong, and to fill the space with grace and love and gratitude. It is also time to remember the cosmic dilemma and the trauma of our beginnings. It all started with a desireless desire within Source. The source of all, the absolute, eternal bliss, nothing and everything, boundless, invulnerable, limitless, desireless desire. It gives birth to a singularity, dreams into being a pure spirit, overflowing with grace and love, oneness, love, and only love. Alas, one is one and all alone, and evermore shall be so. It dreams of another, equal, not just a part of self, with which to share its love. The grand experiment begins, the cosmic story of the lover and beloved. From the one comes the two. From the two comes the three, the dynamic trinity. From energy into form with the birth of the fourth. From these principal forces, the prime souls are birthed into the celestial realms. The sundering from oneness into the polarities was not without risk, nor easily accomplished. Ideally, each polarity would have contained three forces for a dynamic flow. But two aspects of the divine feminine were lost in the sundering. In the beginning, there were three masculine to only one feminine. First Father, Heart Son, Father of manifestation, and First Mother. Three males to one female, bound to be trouble with a capital T. And what begins as small imbalances cascades down through the dimensions, corrupting the experience. Suffering begins. And yet, now the missing parts of the divine feminine are now reclaimed and the feminine trinity restored. This healing is reaching us now. The cosmic principles, the forces, the holy trinities of masculine and feminine are remembered. It is now right time to reconnect, remember with them, self and biggest self, light and spirit with will, mind, heart, and body, and reconcile what is with what wishes to be. Our sacred heart is the nexus, the meeting point of all. What unique gifts will you use to create something real, something beautiful and true from the polar opposites of yin and yang, gravity and radiation, center and periphery, lover and beloved? As of early March 2026, Venus is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign, so this energy can make us a bit dreamy, and yet in this sign, Venus is exalted, meaning it's at its peak of power and influence. Check out the 5 petals it circumscribed around the sun over an 8-year period. Venus, goddess of love, rising from the sea, come be with us as we express ourselves and communicate with both honesty and integrity. Your energy encourages us to embrace our unique gifts and creative energies. Venus in Pisces invites us to see love as an act of devotion. She offers to be our companion as we focus on emotional depth rather than surface level issues. Venus is also associated with Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan in the masculine aspect of Venus, which is the breath of life and the wind and the ether, that realm of potential. And fire horse, the fire element of that fire horse will help us to discern when and where to trust and share. I am trusting that this will find the right audience and appreciation for the wonder and daring of our cosmic experience. It can also be helpful to use what we learned in the preceding years. We had Water Tiger in 2022. There were moments of stillness and a need for patience before moving quickly and pouncing like the tiger when opportunity presented. Then we had the Water Rabbit in 2023. This was more of a calm, reflective, go-with-the-flow attitude, advising caution financially with an economic slowing during the latter part of the year. And then we moved into the Young Wood Dragon in 2024. Remember, wood is associated with springtime, new growth, new beginnings. The magical, mystical, magnificent dragon symbolizes the flames of creation and represents strength, power, wisdom, and prosperity. The dragon eggs we fostered that year would hibernate most of 2025 as we moved into the yin wood snake, slowly incubating the new earth we long to co-create. We made some forward momentum, but it was slow and sinewy like the serpent. Many a skin was shed in preparation for this year. Divine Mother and Father's love and blessings were finally able to melt the veil surrounding and imprisoning the earth, only after First Father enacted a contingency plan that he had held in reserve for us. And finally, the Christ consciousness grid was restored around the earth in December of 2024. By January of 25, Sophia Gaia could be known by her true name, Ma-Ra-Va-Ti, as she broke through the matrix, the covering that blocked us from connecting with our counterparts in the celestial realms. Now, it is much easier to connect through the tree of life and life that runs through our spine, and to breathe through the spine from earth to sky and back from heaven to earth, and feel the branches of our nervous system awaken, and the 12 solar rays ignite the flame of the heart, aligning with the spine and axis of earth, and also the solar logos. While it may have become easier over the last few years to connect through our spine with the spine of the earth and the solar logos, our nervous systems will still need time to adjust to all of this. And the earth needs time to recover from her ordeal as well. She is regaining her strength and elemental power and throwing off that which would take without giving back. We need to help her clear that which does not support a reciprocal relationship. 2025 was a time to learn from the serpent that eats its own tail in that reciprocal dance of life. 2025 was about the Kundalini, the vortex, and about spirals, spiraling in to spiral back out again, learning the vortex flows, going in to come out, going down to come up and around, yin and yang meeting in the nexus of the heart, reconciling what is with what wishes to be, combining emotions and thoughts in our hearts to create something real and loving from opposites. Cultivating the sacred heart flame of love, compassion, and transformation. Learning the actions and virtues of the Sacred Heart and its innermost center that opens directly to Source. Inviting Uncle Jesus to enter more fully into our heart of hearts. Practicing the heart holy breath. Learning how to create the bioscalar wave through the nexus of our heart. The scalar Tesla waves are electromagnetic waves that have no positive or negative charge, so they are difficult to measure with our instruments. We know them only by their effects. They spiral and spin within the center of each molecule, connecting the finite and infinite potential, and are able to regenerate, even regenerate. Using the heart holy breath, we learn how to warm the water and cool the fire so that they balance and support each other. Kindling worlds upon worlds of rainbow light, we cultivate the rainbow body, cradling the spark of life as the eggs begin to crack open and unfurl their petals and feathers and stretch their wings. Learning and embodying the toroidal flows in and around the body and the planet. Learning that even the physical heart is a vortex, not just a pump, and that our veins are designed in a twisting pattern to swirl the blood back up to the heart. We are learning to embody the Ankh, the key of life, activating the space-time continuum from the window of our innermost heart center. I first learned of this inner sanctum of the heart nexus in 2003. I explored traveling through this vortex over the next couple of years, discovering its connection to the infinite, expanding both outward and inward. Realizing that this inner core is beyond space-time and therefore beyond the causal form, inviolate, invulnerable. It is a safe sanctuary and connection to the source of all, beyond the suffering and repercussions of the great sundering, and a way to connect the primal forces, the trinities of lover and beloved, to us and back to source, and pass through the heart, the sacred fire of the heart center, the doubt and fear, pain, blame, and shame that is held in our planetary and cosmic collective through this ultimate 0 point. The nexus point is slightly below our individual heart center, nestled in the center of the sacred heart flame, in the altar of our chest. Using this alchemical fire of love, we can pass through the bitter and the sweet. We can also awaken to a greater field of consciousness by connecting with our higher, biggest self, or what I prefer to call the inter or intra-self, the messenger self that connects us with our soul and spirit, residing in the celestial realms, and inviting them to enliven our being and becoming. The Great Mother Tree has returned to help us attune more deeply to nature, and is helping us soften the solar ego forces that keep us tuned to only a small bandwidth of intelligence. Thank you, solar ego, but now we can develop a kind of antenna to receive the love light codes pouring into our planet. We can keep asking nature to help heal humanity and return the healing back to nature. We might even remember our halos. Definitely reconnect with our divine DNA blueprint. We can activate the tree of life and light that runs through our spine and nervous system to remember our multidimensional, multi-bandwidth selves. Then the return of the divine forces within each of the 12 chakras is actualized. It is not so very hard, you see, when thee are within we. All it takes is to loosen the reins on the mind and cultivate our Shakti through proper digestion of food, sensations, and emotions, and transform experience into wisdom. Find ways to vibrate out our old limiting patterns using sound and movement. This also helps to quiet the monkey mind. The neurotransmitter called GABA has been called the brake on the brain, likely keeping us tuned to the station and bandwidth of the 3D human channel. Psychotropic plant medicine has been shown to lower GABA levels in the thalamus, dissolving the usual filters, allowing the brain to open to a wider field of knowledge. And GABA levels also drop right before sleep, which accounts for the ease with which we can astral project during those times. It is also known that GABA levels plummet at death. The brain lights up with an incredible amount of activity, just exploding with activity. This likely explains why those experience an NDE or a near-death experience report the blissful feeling of interconnectedness with all life. Perhaps in the coming years, we will learn how to regulate these levels more consciously. and consistently. Increasing GABA for focus and mood regulation, and decreasing levels for multi-bandwidth receptivity. Remember, most of the neurotransmitters that control our mood are made in the gut, our enteric brain, and that is why a healthy diet and digestion is so important. The importance of digesting and processing our primary and secondary reactive emotions while in a safe environment and sacred space, and transforming them into their most loving actions and virtues, and feeding them back to the earth and the cosmos cannot be overstated. I believe we will learn how to move from fixed time and cycles of time into gathered time. We will move beyond the masculine, yang principle of the sun, which is solidified and focused in linear time, through the feminine principle of the moon and the cycles of ancestral time, which, let's admit it, are most often tied to tightly held rhythms of cyclic time that insist it must be done in the same way over and again. Finally, we will pass into the heart, the child of their union, a child who has matured and gained tolerance for all things great and small, and blooms into a 12-petaled flower, sturdier than any flower petals, more like gills that undulate with the liquid rhythm of our fluids and our breath. This 12-petaled fire lotus, with its strong center, becomes the transformative 13. It becomes the cup, the Holy Grail, with its base at the dantian, or will center, and will hold us in form as we pass into the great ocean matrix of all time gathered. The joy of reconnecting and the feeling of support in this unified field of love will nourish us, and we will return renewed. Fear of death will simply fade away, and selfish lust for power and money will simply dissolve as we pass it through the sacred heart fire of love and transformation. We will celebrate with life once more. Horse comes to us now to help show us the way. Horse will carry us through the chaos of breaking systems and paradigms. We can balance the fire horse by connecting with our aquatic seahorse as well. She can calm and steady us as we navigate the tree of life and manifest our dreams. The fire horse will bring its share of war and lust for power as those still caught in the karmic loop of taking and breaking and stealing the life force become even more desperate in their dying breaths. The karmic wheel has shattered, and the shards of harmful and limiting patterns will need clearing. The solar horse is a call to action to do this work. It will foster a powerful drive for freedom, likely challenging limitations, breaking boundaries, revealing truths, and pushing us beyond our comfort zones. It is likely to be a bit of a wild ride, but if we can apply the lessons of previous years, we might actually enjoy the ride. Remember the lessons of 2020 and 2021, which were medal years during the COVID reset, when hopefully, we learned what is truly of value and what we can let go of and what to hold on to. Then we will no longer be running in circles getting nowhere. Instead, we will know our truth, our path. We will become the way. We will know the scales of time and space and speed and embrace our place and part in the cosmic love story. Thank you so much for engaging with me. I will also leave a couple of links to different energetic processes as I'm able to film them, which might help to process and transform our actions into love, care and respect for our unique expression and that of others, while encouraging harmony and humility and radiating that out into the world. Oh, many, many blessings, friends. I will leave you with these declarations beyond simple affirmations, for they are already true. Fill in the descriptors for your individual expressions. I am that I am. I am a devotee, a writer, an artist, a healer, an acupuncturist and practitioner of biological medicine, a painter, a baker, a fermenter, a songwriter, a gardener, an herbalist, a dancer, a yogini, a qigong master, a sister, a daughter, a lover, a friend, and now a movie maker. I am that I am in the great I am, and I am becoming that which I am becoming in the great becoming. I am sovereign and free to be me. I am aligned with my true purpose and destiny. I choose to be love. I am love. Sat Nam.